Hello everyone, welcome back to IntelliSkills. In this video, we are going to learn about arrays in Java. Okay, this is my most favorite and a very interesting topic. So stay till the very end. Make sure to like this video. Subscribe to IntelliSkills if you haven't yet done it. Now say you have 6 people and you have their roll numbers. Not people, students. Okay, so I want to store their roll numbers. Okay. So to store them, we say int, let's say R1, R for roll, okay. So roll 1, we can say 101, int R2, we can say like 36, int R3, we can just say maybe like 50, int R4, 102, int R5, 77 and int R6 111. Okay, so these are our roll numbers. If you have 100 roll numbers, are you just going to create 100 memory locations, 100 variables for them? Absolutely not. It will make your code look more confusing, unclean and never neat. Okay, so what solution do we have? So when you have these many values, you have this thing might be going on your mind. Make a list out of those. Okay, so that's what the basic concept of arrays is. Let's dig deeper now. Arrays are like, it is a collection of values of the same type stored in a single variable. Okay, we had a collection of values. Those were the roll numbers. They are of the same type. They're all integers, and so we can store them in a single variable, which is like an array. Yes, because they are a collection of values and they have the same type. Okay, so this is what basically array is. It is like a list. Okay, now have you seen like a row of lockers in the American schools or maybe British schools? I don't know. American maybe. They have lockers where children go and keep their books and copies, I guess. Okay, so over here it's the same thing. You have a row of lockers. Okay, and you have certain values in them. These were the values. Yes, these were the roll numbers. So you can keep these values in these lockers, and the lockers will have certain numberings on them so that you can identify. So when you need your book from the locker, you know that my locker number is this, so that I can go and open that locker only. So you need an identification, or rather a numbering. Same is here for the array. You can see they have their numberings, but the numbering doesn't start from 1, it starts from 0. In Java, the numbering of the array, it starts from 0 and not 1. Okay, so what do you call them? Roll numbers that are kept, those are called the elements, and the numberings that we're calling them, that is called the index. Okay, index of an element of an array, we call that. So in Java, the arrays are like they're 0 indexed. Okay, index starts from 0. Okay, so in the memory, how does it look? In the memory, like it is stored in a like consecutive manner. Okay, it is stored consecutively one after the other. Okay, like it is shown here. Okay, and these yellow things, these are the address. Okay, address of each element. Okay, so 101 is kept at address 200, and these are random numbers that I've put. Okay, actually if you go to the memory, the addresses are stored in like hexadecimal format. Okay, and over here, just for like explaining, I've shown it as 200, 201, 202. Okay, so it is stored in a like linear fashion. Okay, and in a consecutive manner in the memory, like this. Okay, it has its own index and it is stored on a particular address in the memory, so that when you like, suppose you want to call certain element from here, so it will go to that address of the element and it will print that. Okay, or if you want to get that and do something with it, it will fetch you from that address. Okay, now how do you like declare and like initialize an array? Let us see. So this is how you declare an array. First you have the type, then you have the name of the array, and then you give these square brackets. Okay, so whenever in Java you see these square brackets, you mean that this is an array. Okay, and then you say equal to, you use the new keyword now. Okay, we have already used the new keyword, I think, while we were learning about strings. So yes, you have to use the new keyword, then you have the type again, and then you have the size of the array. Okay, now if I want to write these, like put these values in array, how will I do that? So first we have to say the type. So the type is int, and then we have to name our array, let's say roll, and now the square brackets equal to the new keyword and then the type again, and then we have the square brackets again, and inside these square brackets we'll have our size. So what is the size of the array? It will be 6. There are 6 elements in the array, right? Okay, so I think you're understanding this. This is how we declare an array, but the array still does not have the values. Okay, we wanted to have these values, okay, but it does not have it yet. So how do we assign values to an array? It's very simple. So you just say roll of 0. Okay, so at the 0th index we are putting 101, at the index 1 we are putting 36, at index 2 we are putting 50, and like this I'll just put everything. Okay, so this is how you assign like values into your array. Got it? So in this way you can assign values to your array. At the 0th index you have the first element that you put. In the first index you have the second element that you want to put. Okay, in this manner you have to do it. So I think we can just delete this thing right now. Now suppose you want to print the element at, let's say, index 3. How will you do that? So you say print and you just say roll of 3. This is how you print something at the like index 3. If you want to print something at index 3, you can see it is saying 102 at index 3. Okay, suppose you want to print suppose you want to print 77. How will you do that? You have to call index 4, and then if you run the program, you can see 77 is printed. This is how you print the elements. Now suppose you want to print, let's say, the thing at index 6. Okay, if you run the program, you can see it throws an error. What is that error? Array index out of bounds exception it throws. Okay, we have not learned exceptions till date. We'll learn that in our future videos for sure. When we will learn about try catch block and everything, we'll learn about exceptions then. For just now, remember that it throws an error when you try to print something at an index which is not present in the array. Okay, this is why it throws the array index out of bounds exception. Got it? So in this array you can print only up to index 5 and not index 6 because it is not present. Now what if you want to print all the elements of the array, like you want to print the array? So in that case I think you should say just roll. Okay, just say the name of the array. If you run the program, you can see this weird thing is given. It is some hash code. It is related to the memory address, okay, of the array, and it is like mixed with some like hash code, and it is given. Okay, it is related to that, but it is totally not related to printing our elements. So how do we print our elements? We have to use a for loop. What will a for loop do? Basically, it will iterate through the elements of the array. It will traverse through the elements of the array, and like it will pick up each element, and if you want to print them, you print them. If you want to do any other operations with that, you can do that. Okay, I can delete this and I can say a for loop, and I can say int I is equal to 0 because the index start from 0, initialization from 0, and then we say I less than 6 because that's the size, and then we have to say I plus plus, and then inside the for loop we can print roll of I. Why roll of I? Because on every iteration I will change its value. So first it will print roll of 0, then roll of 1, roll of 2, roll of 3. Okay, so this way it prints all the elements. If you run the program, you can see all of these elements are printed now. Got it? Now there are certain cases when you don't know the size of the array. What to do in that case? Will you just say I less than anonymous? No. So arrays have a very special property which is length. Okay, that is their property. Length is their property, and using that length variable you can find the length of the array or the size of the array. So if you just say roll dot length, you can get the length of the or the size of the array. Okay, and mind you, this length does not have like the parenthesis. It's for methods, and length here is not a method, it's a variable, it's a property. Okay, if you run the program, you can see it gives the same result. Okay, so you can use for each to print, okay, as well. So what you just say, instead of this whole thing, you say int I colon roll. So I will contain every element of roll, and what we have to print, instead of this we have to print I. Okay, and if you run the program, you can see again all the elements are printed. Now we can go back to our previous for loop that we were using. Okay, now what if we want to take the input of values? Okay, like we want to take the input of the values that we want to put in the array from the user. We also want to take the size from the user. Okay, the size of the array. So first we will have our scanner class. So scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. Got it? Now enter size, and in the next line probably I can say int size is equal to sc dot next int. Okay, this is how you take the input of the size. We don't need assigning here, so we can just remove this. Okay, and instead of 6 here, now we will pass our size variables, because that integer will that the user is going to input or like give the input, that is going to serve as the size here. You can run I up to, like, you can say either size or you can just say roll dot length. Okay, that's your wish. Now this is like straight up printing the elements. Okay, we don't want that. We will create another for loop. Okay, int I is equal to 0, I less than roll dot length or size, whatever, and I plus plus. Now inside this we have to take the input from the user. So can I say roll of I is equal to sc dot next int? Previously we were writing roll of, let's say, 0 is equal to 97, and here we are writing roll of, like, in the instead of this 0 we'll write I, and equal to, instead of this value we are taking input, so we'll say sc dot next int, and that's how you just take the input. It's as simple as that. And after you have taken all the input, this will be used to print your output. Okay, this is for this for loop is for input, this for loop is for output. Okay, if you just run the program, you can see enter size, I'll say 3, and then we have to enter our elements one by one. So let's say 98, 34, 67, and after that it prints all the values. Okay, hope you got it. Now if you just remove all this and simply go back to this code that we had, remove size, this was our very long method of declaring and as like assigning values to array to the index of the array. Is this very useful? Like, if there are 100 variables, I'm supposed to like write up to roll of 99 and keep assigning values? No, that's going to make the code so long. People are going to be tired scrolling your code. So we can just like comment this out, and instead of saying this new int 6 whatever, we can give curly braces, okay, and inside this curly braces just keep on putting your values: 36, 50, 102, 77, 111. If you delete this portion, and so you can see it is all done in one line, and it looks a lot shorter, a lot neat now. If you run the program, you can see all the elements are printed again. Now we just talked about a 1D array. Have you ever heard of 2D arrays? See, right over here, this is an array. It has 3 elements, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, I just added one more array, another array, 7, 8, 9. Do you see something like very familiar in this? Does it look like a table to you? Yes. Does it look like a matrix to you? Yes. So over here you have 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay, this is 2D array, rows into columns. Okay, this is 2D array. Okay, it's like a array of arrays. This whole single thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this whole thing is a array. It is a 2-dimensional array. Got it? With 3 rows and 3 columns. Earlier we had seen a 1D array which just contain elements. This array contains array, and those array contains elements. Okay, I hope you get it. Okay, so if you just visualize it more, it has your index like this. At index 0 you have index 0, 1, 2. At index 1 also you have index 0, 1, 2. At index 2 you have 0, 1, 2. So suppose you want to access certain element, suppose this element 4 which is highlighted. So how will you access that? You say row comma column. So you say 1 comma 0 and you get 4. Okay, you just say 1 and 0 and you get 4. Got it? So if I want to like initialize and declare an 2D array, how to do that? So I can say int numbers, and previously you had given the like square brackets here. You can even give the square brackets here. It doesn't matter where you give the square brackets, either after the data type or the variable name. Okay, it doesn't matter. But in case of a 2D array, as it is rows and columns, you have to give 2 square brackets. Okay, interesting. Equal to new int, and you have again have 2 square brackets. Now in these 2 square brackets on the right hand side, you have to provide the number of rows and the number of columns that you want to have. So I want to have 3 rows and 3 columns, just as mentioned in our PPT. Okay, now how do you assign values? You just say numbers index 0 of 1. Okay, in the first array at index 0, sorry, not 1, 0, of the first array index 0, I want to have 1. Of the first array index 1, I want to have 2. Of the first array index 2, I want to have 3. Of the second array index 0, I want to have 4. Okay, so in this way you just complete it. I think now you get how to assign the values to a 2D array. So at 0, 0 you have 1, yes. At 0, 1 you have 2, yes. At 0, 2 you have 3, yes. At 1, 0 you have 4, yes. So in this way it is done. Okay, now what if you want to take input here as well? What will you do? Okay, just delete all this crap. Now we are going to say for int I is equal to, oh sorry, extremely sorry, I forgot to take the input of the sizes. So just delete this and delete this. Say scanner sc is equal to new scanner system dot in. Now int rows is equal to sc dot next int call is equal to sc dot next int. Now just I want to make this code look fresher, so okay, so this is how you take the input of the row and column. And here as well, in the first block you pass row, in the second column second one you pass column. Okay, done. Now we have to run a for loop. Int I is equal to 0, I less than rows I plus plus. Okay, I'll just quickly write that. After that I'm going to explain it to you. For int j is equal to 0, I less than call j plus plus, numbers I j is equal to sc dot next int. Got it? This is how we write our nested for loop. So you can try this for loop in your own system, and for sure try debugging it. It will help you understand this nested for loop much better if you try it on your own. Okay, anyways, it was sc.nextInt. If you want to just print the elements, okay, then you can say, instead of this, you can say sout and numbers ij. Okay, and if you run the program, number of rows 3, number of columns 3. Now just keep on entering the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it prints all the values that we have just given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's very good. If you are able to not comprehend this, I request you to please try this at your own system, okay, in your own like IDE. Please try it. If you still have doubts, then you can just comment and I'll reply your doubts. Now previously I had showed you a very disgusting method of, it's not disgusting but it's very long, that's why I call it disgusting. You had seen this way of assigning values to a 2D array. You're having to delete it, and how can you, in a shorter method, how can you do it? You have your curly braces and you say first 1, 2, 3, and then you have a big comma, and then you say 4, 5, 6, and then you say 7, 8, 9. Okay, so you declare it like this. And why is it giving an error? Because outside this you have to give another huge big curly brace. Okay, and inside this curly braces you have, this is your 0th element. Okay, this is your element at index 1, this is your element at index 2, and inside this element like 0 you have another element at 0, 1 and 2. Inside element 1 you have 0, 1, 2. Inside element 2 you have like 0, 1 and 2 again. Got it? This is how you can declare it in much shorter way. Okay, now do you see this array? This is also an array. It's a 2D array only, but it looks disformed. It is not a table. A table looks like this. It's like uniform, and this is not at all uniform. This looks very disformed. This type of array is called jagged array. Jagged array is basically a 2D array. The rows do not have like specified number of columns. It can have different columns. Okay, the rows can have different columns. Okay, it is not like set that all the rows will have 3 columns only. Over here this row has got 3 elements, this has got 2, and this has got 3 again. How do you declare a jagged array? Delete this. Int numbers, nums, let's just say it's a 2D array, so yes, new int. So the rows is set, it is 3, but we don't know the columns. Okay, now how do you assign elements to a jagged array? It's very simple. So nums 0, that means the first array, you can call this a array, right? And this has index 0. So at nums 0, okay, at nums 0, what is the length? What is going to be the length? You can set the length as new int 2. And for then nums 1, you can set the length as 3. And then for nums 2, you can set the length as 1. Okay, now you have to start assigning the values. So at like nums 0 0, you will have 1. At nums 0 1, you will have 2. At nums now what if you want to print this using a for loop? Obviously, for int I is equal to 0, I will run up to what? The length of the array. So if you just say like nums dot length, it will say 3. Okay, nums dot length is 3 because it only checks the big arrays: 1 array, 2 array, 3 array. Okay, and then we say I plus plus. Okay, now inside this we have to work with columns now. So another for loop, and then we say int j is equal to 0, and now j will run up to what? It should run up to the columns. Now here are no specified number of columns. Every row has different number of columns. So we have to say nums I, that means the rows dot length. Okay, the rows have different, like the rows means basically what? Individual arrays. So those individual arrays, their length. Okay, so the individual array 1, like the first array which is at index 0 of nums, it has the size 2. So there, that length I'm talking about. Okay, that will count the columns. Okay, then we say j plus plus, and after that print nums I. Okay, after that we print nums ij, and if you run the program, you can see it prints 1 2 3 4 5 6. But we don't, in this way, like 1 2 3 4 5 6, we don't know like to which array which element belongs to which individual array. So how do we do that? In this outer loop we can have a new line printed. Okay, and we want the elements to be printed in one line, and then we can just give a space between two elements. So you can see now in the first array, in the first row we have 1 2, in the second row we have 3 4 5, and in the third row we have just 6. So what is just happening here? After it prints all the elements of that particular array, it comes down to the outer loop and it prints a new line. Again it goes up, the value of I changes, so another array comes to the like scene, and it's that array's elements started getting printed. Again you have the new line printed after that particular array is printed. Okay, so this way it is done. That is it for today's video of arrays. I hope you understood it. If you have any doubts, please make sure to leave them down below in the comments for me to reply. Okay, I'll meet you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep exploring. Thank you, and bye bye.